Hey peeps, I think that we're good to go. So as usual, please let me know if there's any kind of audio or video problems before we get too far into this. I'll wait for someone to respond. We're probably good to go though. I'm actually watching the feed. Let's see.
Good to go?
Yep. All right, we're good. Cool. Although that just froze. Sorry, after the last time I'm a little bit paranoid. I just want to make sure everything's running fairly smoothly before I start talking too much, then the whole thing just craps out. So, alright, cool. So, let's go ahead and start back from the beginning. First and foremost, my name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, and this is our weekly Q&A. I try to do my weekly Q&As at different periods of time, different days, different times. Every other week I'm going to do late night, which is going to hopefully help out people who, first off, if you're in America, live on the West Coast. So it doesn't take place too early in the day, therefore you will have time to get off of work and things like that. People who live in other countries, and so on and so forth. So hopefully that'll be helpful for you. And on the alternating weeks, I'll do them either in early evening or I'll do them like Saturday and Sunday afternoon, whenever it's going to work out for me. So you'll have it bounce around at different times if you can't make it live. If you're unfamiliar with the process, this is where you can ask me anything you want, board game related or not. Have at it. At maybe the halfway point, I'll show you some cool new games that I have acquired recently that I will hopefully be reviewing very, very soon. One of them, for sure, is going to... Well, no, hold on a second. 3 of them, for sure, are going to be going up over the weekend. One of them should have already been up, and I've just been super... I'm not going to say lazy. I've just been super exhausted. It is tough working a full-time job and doing a channel at the same time, which I don't want to whine about because it sounds like a first-world problem. But there you have it. So let's go ahead and start from the beginning. You can always ask your questions ahead of time. I'm not yet at the point yet where I get so many questions that I limit you to just asking them on the fly. So we'll start back from the ones that were asked before, and we'll work our way up. Although I... Interesting. Am I missing questions? That is very disturbing. I'm missing questions. I'm not even kidding. How did that even happen? It would appear that YouTube ate a bunch of the questions. What's going on? Hold on one second, guys. Because I know people asked a lot of questions ahead of time, and they are just not showing up. Hopefully that was just a little snafu. Nope. Something's definitely going wrong. Hold on, I gotta figure this out. Either I've just lost a bunch of questions, and I have no idea why, or that's what's happening. It's actually eating the questions from the beginning. Like every time I reload the page, I'm losing them. It doesn't seem to matter either. Give me a second. The feed might go out for a moment. Just bear with me. Well, I am super sorry, guys. It has no... I mean, this is very strange. YouTube made a lot of changes recently. You probably saw like a little tab up top saying view from the gaming channel. I don't know what's going on. If you asked a question before, I'm very sorry. You're going to have to ask it again. I am very upset about that because there were some really good questions. I look at the questions earlier in the week as we go along, and there were some good ones. I'm going to try reloading one more time. It's probably going to make me lose more questions, but maybe I'm wrong. Yep. Wow, that's crazy. I'm going to do one last thing.
I'm very sorry, you're going to have to...
There you go. I will actually try their stupid little gaming thing. Nope. That's that. They're toast. Well, I'm really curious if other people are having this problem now. There's nothing wrong with my feed. All right. Anyways, it is what it is. If you guys ask questions before now, you're gonna have to like 2 minutes ago, you're gonna have to ask them again. Sorry. All right, Nick. What qualities make a good cider? Well, I don't know if you mean like cider. I don't drink like traditional cider or hot cider. If you mean like a alcoholic cider, I don't know. Just has to be not too sweet and not too bitter. Otherwise I just drink beer. Once again, people are just having conversations that have no questions involved. That's always fun, trying to sift through that. Yeah, great. Nick, can you say something about how you were first exposed to, became interested in manga and anime, and why the Japanese-style cartoon art appeals to you generally and in board and card games? Well, in my life, I probably liked anime before I even knew what it was, because I remember being very young and watching Robotech and Voltron and G-Force, I think was what our American version of Battle... It was G-Force, Battle of the Planets was what it was also called at some point. Then it had, I think Gotcha Man was the original name of it. So I liked those a lot. And then I remember, let's see, Sci-Fi Channel had like an anime block for a while there. Trying to think, there was a transitional thing at some point. What was it? I don't know, but at a certain, but I do know like the one that solidified it for me was my mom and I used to watch, I explained this in my top 10 anime video, by the way, but my mom and I used to watch really crappy direct-to VHS sci-fi movies, and one of them was The Guyver, which starred Mark Hamill as like an ancillary character who just turned into a monster and got killed. But this is when his career was really on the downswing, and before he even got the Joker role. And for Christmas later that year, my mom found the anime version of The Guyver. She didn't know what anime was, I'm sure, and just said, oh, look, a cartoon version of The Guyver. That's going to be really cool. Little did she know that even though the movie was pretty violent, the anime was like way more violent. Arms getting ripped off, people getting chopped, or monsters getting chopped in half, all this different stuff. There was even like a brief glimpse of nudity. But still, she didn't seem to care. And so I got into that. I collected that religiously. Then I started collecting other anime. Bubblegum Crisis was, I think, the next big one I got attached to. Project A-ko was a movie that's not that good in hindsight, but I liked it quite a lot. And it just went on from there. So that was kind of the start of it, and I became addicted. And anime was my number one hobby for a very long time. And for the most part, it's still like number 2 or 3. It's just I don't get a chance to watch it as much as I used to. And why does that style of art appeals to me? I think it really is just that. It's because I've been so attached to it for so long, because it happens when you're younger. It just becomes something that's very comfortable to me. That's all. It's a style that I like. And I think that when people get attached to something enough, that's how it is. And I know Vassal likes to ride me on that, and I mean, he's got like really strong opinions, like it's just weird, blah, blah, blah. It's fine, but it really is nothing much more simple than it's something I've always enjoyed, so I like it. Let's see, where do we leave off? Any future top 10 lists? What would be the next topic? Well, there's going to be a lot of top 10 lists, because I'm going to be doing the top 100 starting next month, probably I'm hoping maybe the first week in November. So there is that. In between that, I want to knock out a couples. I'm thinking of doing one that's just a few minutes long called Top 10 Board Game Covers, just for fun. I think it'd be kind of funny. I'll take it seriously, but it can't be more than a couple minutes. It's not like I'm going to sit there and analyze the covers. And I might do Top 10 Party Games, just because that topic brought up like people couldn't understand why I don't like One Night Ultimate Werewolf and One Night Revolution. So I'd like to talk about the ones that I do like and tell you why. People just having conversations, which is fine, but I can't sift through and find questions very easily. Well, apparently I didn't miss much. Have you traveled overseas at all? Thoughts on where you went? I had not traveled overseas, actually. I've never been out of the country. I might have been in Mexico when I was a baby because my mom used to go visit her sisters in New Mexico all the time, and I know they cross the border a lot, but I don't have a memory of it. I would love to, though. I do want to go to Essen. People are trying to talk me out of going to Essen. Like, it's not worth it, but I would like to go there just to visit Germany. What is that game with the mouth that is always behind you? That's my number one most asked question, and I'm not quite tired of answering it yet, though that will probably come. That is the Boo Booty box for Super Dungeon Explorer Forgotten King. It was a special... It wasn't a Kickstarter exclusive box by any means, but they did it as part of the Kickstarter to hold all the extra loot you got, and you can still get it, I think. Maybe it's sold out right this second, but it's not an exclusive. You can get it through their website. I've never seen it for sale at retail, though, interestingly enough. Are the shelves on the other side of the room, Nick? Yes, they are. They're still... hold on a second. Let me go to my other feed so I can see in real time what I'm showing you. They are right there. Ba-ba-ba. Ta-da. And stacks of games. Bookshelves on behind the new shelves are not only more bookcases or one more bookcase that's completely full and overflowing, but in the corner is just a stack of games I had to get out of the way quickly. So right now they're all assembled. It's all good to go. I just need to find the time to actually transition all the games off, which is going to be taking every single game off of these 4 shelves. All the shelves have to be moved, and then restacking them onto those shelves. Which is more difficult than assembling the shelves, honestly. Okay. Let's see. What are some good, awesome 5 to 6 player games? A lot of those fall into the party game range. I think that Spyfall with 5 to 6 is pretty fun. Cash and Guns is very fun, even with 4 players, actually. But 5 or 6 gets really interesting. But as far as like longer games, I think Lords of Waterdeep can go up to 6 when you have the. I think you can just go up to 6, maybe 5 or 6, at least. That's a fun one. What else is good with 5 or 6? Zombicide, Dead of Winter goes up to 5. That's a great game with 5. More the merrier for Dead of Winter. What are your feelings on Pretzel Games having an expansion pre-ordering while the base game, Flick 'em Up, is pretty much unavailable for retail? Yeah, I don't really understand what happened there. It was very odd with Flick 'em Up. They had a very limited quantity at Gen Con, and that's where I got mine from. My buddies who went to Gen Con picked one up for me, and it was actually like a last-minute thing. It wasn't on my list of games to get for them, but I saw that it was going to be available there, and I emailed them real quick and was like, hey, can you please pick me up a copy? That'd be great. And I think they actually gave it to him for free because they mentioned that I was a reviewer, which was cool. And then, I don't know how many they had there, but then they've just been gone. People have not been able to get it, and now they're bringing out an expansion that I see for pre-order on Cool Stuff, and I'm like, they still don't have the base game. It's very strange. I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry to hear it. It's a fun game, and I think a lot of people would actually love it even more than I did. For me, it's like a fun activity, but for other people who just loved it, that I know. Sorry. Oh, looks like we got quite a lot of questions in the meantime. So, sorry. Here we go. Nick, how does one get over needing everything for a game? Makes pledging on Kickstarter expensive. I want to kick this need. It's tough when you get like the collector's mentality. I'm slowly getting weaned off of that. Like, I got a couple of Cool Mini or Not games that, like Rum and Bones, that I'm just like, you know what? And on Her Majesty's Service, I'm like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm not going to go spend an inordinate amount of money on eBay just to get the extras. And there's some what's it called? Arcadia Quest figures that I didn't actually pay extra for that were exclusive when I pledged for that game, so I'll lose those forever. But you just have to get over it. I think that most games do not have exclusives that really enhance the gameplay. They may make it a little bit better, but you're fine. So unless you really are a collector, or like in the case of miniatures, a painter that needs to have them, you're going to be okay. You just need to keep telling yourself that. There are a couple of games where it's like if you don't have the exclusives, it really makes the game worse. Fallen is the best example of that because the exclusives were content that was absolutely necessary to keep the game fresh for extended plays, and they made them exclusive, never to be gained again. And I think that that's a reason why you're not hearing much about that game, and hopefully will not. I think that kind of activity should be discouraged, and that should be another incentive for you to kick that habit. If people are doing too many exclusives, don't support them. That's why I'm really happy that the new Super Dungeon Explorer Kickstarter is doing very well, and it has no exclusives. Do you get fed up with delayed Kickstarter deliveries, or is it part of the Kickstarter process? I ask because Mayday is always late on delivery, yet Red Raven and Gamelin deliver on time. Some companies are way too optimistic with their delivery times and just never learn their lesson, I guess. Sometimes companies just have bad luck. I mean, there are a lot of circumstances beyond your control. But I will say this. I work in the printing industry, and we use vendors who are beyond our control, and we just hope sometimes that they do what they say they're supposed to do and deliver their product on time, and manufacturers that we work with. But we always take that kind of stuff into account. So when we tell our customer, what's your in-hands date? Okay, we can get it to you on that date. You know, maybe we have to charge you extra to rush it. Maybe we have to do this, this, and this. But we will get it to you on that date. And I've mentioned this before. I went on tirades about this before. Maybe I said it in I might have made a comment on Board Game Geek on one of my videos, where essentially I think that we're being a little bit too easy on the manufacturers for board gaming. Board gaming is as like this huge, like modern board gaming as a huge industry outside of Hasbro and Wizards and all that, is still kind of new. And with companies like Panda Game Manufacturing, and I think that first off, we need more manufacturers, more competition in that area, so that they're really pushing them to innovate and get faster. And I don't think that we should just, as consumers, accept, well, it'll get here when we get here. You can't account for anything. You can. You absolutely can set a deadline and meet it, whether it's Kickstarter or not. So these companies that can't do it, at a certain point, maybe it is your production facilities and manufacturers, but you should also take some responsibility as well. And as you say, some companies can get it right. So either they're being more realistic with their shipping times, or they choose not to launch their Kickstarter until they have all their ducks in a row. What a fantastic idea that is. Just a thought. Top 3 legendary heroes. Oh man, there's so many. I was just thinking the other day how what an amazing amount of content is in that game. But there's definitely some I like better than others. I really like the new Magic, M-A-G-I-K character cards. Jean Grey's cards. Blade is super cool. I dig all the Spider-Man cards because everyone hates them, but they don't realize that together they can be very, very powerful. I don't know. Don't limit me to 3, man. There's no way I could do it. What's the best Gundam of all time? I haven't watched every Gundam because I've been out of the loop on that show for a while. But personal favorite? I really enjoyed 00 Gundam. I never knew precisely how to say that. It's either Gundam 00 or Gundam 00, whatever it is. I think it's 00 Gundam. But the first half of that show, I think that they didn't know that they ordered a first season of that show and it did very well, and then they ordered a second season, right? And they weren't prepared for it. So the first season is really solid. The second season falls into the pitfall of most anime, which is it gets weird and preachy and just kind of falls apart in some certain areas. But the first half of it is just amazing. So I can definitely recommend that, and I just loved it. It just got a little bit worse in the end. Although, if you do stick through to the end, you will see an original Gundam fight a new Super Gundam, which was kind of fun. The only Kickstarter I have that won't probably arrive is because the guy ran out of money for postage. Has that happened too often? The game was the Novus card game. That kind of stuff has happened, although I've never heard of someone not delivering it. I've heard of many product creators say, well, this is going to bankrupt me or come close to it because I'm paying out of pocket for shipping. But most project creators are like, that's fine. Only a select few have been like, oh, I got no money. And usually it never gets to the postage level. It's just like, oh, I can't even produce the game. Stuff happens. I think you just want to get your wife's name and a shout out, which is fine. I think my wife Elizabeth Isherwood has a real crush on you, Nick. You're doing a great job. What is your favorite worker placement game? Well, first off, your wife is very lovely, I'm sure. She must be if she has a crush on me. But thank you to the both of you for watching. But what is your favorite worker placement game? I do like worker placement. There's been quite a few good ones lately. I like Alchemist a lot, although I feel like worker placement is just a part of that game. I really like the new Champions of Midgard. I really like Lords of Waterdeep. I haven't played it in a long time, but it's still solid. Archon is very good. I finally got my own copy of that, and I hope to play it again and then review it at some point. But it is a solid game. Nick, what kind of car do you drive? It's a 2010 Chevy Cobalt, which crossed over 100,000 miles last month. Kind of nervous about it now because I don't have the money or the credit for a new car. But I hope it's so far I've had no major issues with it. So knock on wood, if I believed in that. How great would a Munchkin love letter retheming of Resistance be? It can't possibly be worse than One Night Ultimate Revolution. Or One Night Revolution or whatever the frick it's called. Okay. You mentioned that Sentinels needed rethemed as Marvel or DC, but what about as Valiant? I have no problem with the Valiant universe. I liked a few of the Valiant comics. Like, I know they've rebooted some of them. I haven't read them, though. But the original Valiant universe, I liked Exo Manowar. I liked, was it Rye? What's the guy with the red dot in his chest? Well, there's Bloodshot and Rye. I never knew the whole history there. There's some sort of super soldiers or something. I liked those. I liked Magnus, Robot Hunter, to a degree as well. I liked Solar a lot. Really trippy comic. The problem is, very few people, like, in the population as a whole, know what the hell Valiant Comics even is and would not be able to pick out one of their characters in a lineup. I don't know if that's a good idea. You want to pick a theme that's original, but also one that's going to appeal to a large variety of people. And does Valiant have enough characters to fill out the huge roster of Sentinels of the Multiverse game? I mean, like, of the whole franchise? I doubt it. I say do a mix of all these universes. How about that? That would work for me. Are there any advantages to a P500 over a Kickstarter? Now, I don't know all of the details of a P500. I know that it is the wargaming version of Kickstarter. What's the company? GMT Games does it, I believe. Which is essentially just like, hey, we want to make this game. Here's the details of it. Would you give us some money ahead of time for it? And people did it, and it was very successful. That's like the very definition of crowdsourcing. Grassroots crowdsourcing. But then again, if it's a very reputable company, you can get away with that. Cool Mini or Not could do that right now. I promise you. Cool Mini or Not could do that on their own website. But it is nice to have the infrastructure of Kickstarter in their advertising engine. Even though they haven't updated their website. They have updated the appearance of their website, but not the functionality of it. But it's actually gotten worse. like the auto playing videos, but I still think it's good to have that kind of exposure. And now the Kickstarter is like a brand name that everyone knows in and out of board games. But yeah, I mean, there are companies that could do the P500 right now and do great. If Scythe is similar to Terra Mystica, isn't it going to be crap? Well, I can't say. I haven't played Terra Mystica, but you might be right. I think at least Scythe has a better theme and better visuals. Damn. Sorry. What game that is not just released do you wish you were playing more of? Say, older than 6 months. Oh, for sure. There's a lot of games like that. Shadowrun Crossfire. I'm looking at my shelves in the mirror on the other side of the wall. Shadowrun Crossfire, Bruges. Not every game. Like Abyss is a game I really enjoy. That's one of the things that stands out on my shelf. But I feel like I've explored that game. I keep it because it's fun, but I don't feel like, oh, if only I had played this and tried this strategy. I kind of tried everything in that game. But, and same thing with Dead of Winter. Love it to death. I don't feel the need to play it because I know it's always going to be like there as an old friend. But Shadowrun Crossfire, basically any game with like campaign mode and missions that I never was able to quite get through because that's very difficult to do. So Descent for sure. The Undercity, which I'm still on the fence about even keeping in my collection, but I do want to get through the campaign. Watch my review of the Undercity. I was like, yeah, it's good, but there's just some weird wonky bits to it. It's one of those games where I'm like, am I only keeping this because of the components, visuals, and story? And is that enough for me to keep a game? Where are we at here? Any news about Heart of Crown being translated into English? Well, I don't have an update, but I know that it is going to be kickstarted by Japanime Games. And maybe it's their Kamikaze branch. Whatever. I don't know why companies do that. Just keep your brand. Okay. I think they did it because they didn't want Crossmaster Arena, which is their real moneymaker, to be associated with games like Barbarossa and El Alamein. Which is fair, I guess. But you still shouldn't split your brand that way. But I don't know any current update, but I know that unless they completely changed their plans and dropped it, it is still supposed to be being kickstarted by Japanime Games or Kamikaze, one of the two. Probably Japanime, because Heart of Crown's a pretty benign game. There's nothing controversial about it, unless you just don't like anime girls. But I think they just have to finish the El Alamein Kickstarter and probably let like a month pass, so it might be a while out. So would you be willing to play another Sandy Peterson game or not due to how they lash out at you? And if not, isn't that kind of letting them win? It's not that I wouldn't be willing to play it. I may not review it, though. I'm not really interested in promoting them. Like, the new Cthulhu Wars Kickstarter is up there, and even though it looks like it's just re-kickstarting a lot of the extras, I mean, I can't even tell what's what in that game anymore. They just released, like, everything. Every little thing is an expansion. It's very weird. But I'm not going to talk about it on my Kickstarter update because why give them the press? That would be letting them win, I think. Hey, Nick, any interest in Fallout 4? Does a bear shit in the woods? I wish I had the money, the disposable money right now, to buy a new system just so I could play that game. I don't know that my laptop could handle it, actually. I'd be pleasantly surprised if it could, in which case I'll probably buy it and you won't see much content coming out on the channel for a while. But I really am. I never played like the very, very original Fallout 1 and 2, but I spent so many hours on Fallout 3 and New Vegas, and I'm one of the few people that thinks New Vegas was superior to Fallout 3. Not like it by a huge margin, but the story may not have been as good, but functionally it was just a much better game. How has the Kingdom Death story been going? Well, I haven't been playing with my group since our last live play, but I've been doing it solo, and it's brutal and vicious and killing me all the time, and I love it. Are your co-hosts from that other time ever going to come back, and who were they? They were... I'm sorry, I'm distracted by other people's questions. They were Ian and Robin, and I actually meant to ask Robin if she wanted to come to this one, but it's probably too late for her. She wouldn't have wanted to do it. But, yeah, those are my friends Ian and Robin. They will probably come back at some point because people like them, but it's not going to be a regular thing. And it's stressful enough for me. I mean, people. It's tough for a lot of people in my group. They don't like being on camera that much, and I think those two are good on camera, but I don't think they liked it very much. I think it was stressful for them, especially for Robin. Hence the reason she was like off camera most of the time. Well, I'm not going to answer that question. Sorry. Are there any detailed 504 reviews out yet? I haven't been paying attention, but I'm at a point now where I don't pay attention to other reviewers' reviews because it's just going to get in my head. And I don't want to know what other people think to let it pollute mine. So I'm not sure. But I am sure that there will be some out at some point. As far as like detailed 504 reviews, by the nature of that game, the fact that it's 504 different games, it's going to be impossible to have a fully 100% detailed review unless someone just plays it over the course of months of time and just finally gets back to it. But I would expect there will be some at least reviews of like, hey, here's this game and what you can expect. Are you a fan of Princess Mononoke or any other Studio Ghibli films? I'm a fan of many of Studio Ghibli's films. I think Princess Mononoke is one of the best in the top 5 for sure of their films. I have not seen it in a long time though, but it was one of their more darker and mature ones, and it worked very well. I think my favorite is still Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, called Warriors of the Wind, in a very bad English edit that I actually did watch on VHS when I was younger. And yes, which other ones do I like quite a bit? I like Spirited Away. I like Howl's Moving Castle, but there's something about that didn't sit right with me that I can't quite put my finger on. It doesn't quite have the nice characterizations that I like in his other ones. It felt the characters were not as likable, I think, is maybe the best way I could say it. I don't think I'm alone in that. I think that one had some mixed reviews. But visually, they're all stunning. Are you still keeping up with or playing Force of Will? Well, actually, before the Q&A, I actually had to go down to Cool Stuff to pick up some stuff, and I could not help myself, and I bought a bunch of Force of Will packs for the new set that's out. Because I didn't feel like buying a box, but whenever I'm down there, I want to support the store like in person instead of just the stuff that I order online. So here, I'll open one pack, and then I got to stop, or I'll consume myself with opening them. Just get the rare. Oh, that's cute. Here. Cute otter thing, or beaver. What else? Speaking of Princess Mononoke, there's a Guardian of the Forest. I know it's a wolf. But let's see, what's the super rare here, or ultra rare? Do I get one? No? I better. I will flip out. Ugh, what a crap pack. I didn't think they actually made packs like this. I think this is the only like rare thing I got, and I guarantee it's worthless. Charm of the Princess. Alright, well, that's disappointing. Okay, maybe one more pack. Till we get something good. And then another, and another. This new set is called, let's forget, the Seven Kings of the Lands. Because Force of Will does not understand subtlety. There's Princess Mononoke. Alice's Little Assault Force. I don't even know what that is. Here we go. That looks cool. War Dame of the Valkyries is foil. That is just says uncommon. Alright, I don't know. Maybe they stopped giving really awesome cards in every pack. Look how cool these cards are. Even the back is Spot UV. And now with this set, they started having these little QR codes for getting force points, willpower points. I'll have to figure out what that is. Alright, I'm done for that for now. Well, we're kind of to the halfway point. Do you want to see some of the new stuff I got? Yes? Okay. Sorry, I'm not going to wait for an answer. Well, here, let me show you what I got from my cool stuff run. Expansion for Roll for the Galaxy. Ambition. Really looking forward to this. God, they do everything better in this game. Anyone that says that Race for the Galaxy is a better game is just not willing to accept change. I mean, even the artwork is better in this game. I can't stand Race for the Galaxy. On a lark, and because apparently Fantasy Flight games are pretty reliable for if you want one, a new one, you're going to get it. They don't like sell out. Not very quickly anyway. It's like, I think even when Eldritch Horror first came out, it took like days and days for it to run out of stock. And then it was restocked like a week later. But Cave Troll ran out of stock right away at Cool Stuff, and I was surprised by that. I don't think there was that much of a demand for this. I just don't think they did very many because it was a reprint of a game they did years ago, which I never played. I'm hoping it's better than Drakon, which also got the same treatment. Drakon was not good. Or Drakon was just like the dull. I don't know. It's very strange. Hold on, I just dropped Force of Will cards. Another game that went out of stock really quickly, and I hope it's good, is The King is Dead. It's like a very, very simple, basic, almost like a filler. No, it's not filler. It's 30 to 45 minutes. Whatever. Oh, yeah, they gave me... I think I have to return these. They accidentally gave me new instant copies of One Night Revolution and the expansion for Time Stories, the Marcy case, but I already have them both. So, from them. So, I just grabbed a bag that they gave me when I got to the store, so I think I got to return them. But it's almost sad to put this one back into circulation because I hate it so much. This I haven't played yet. I can't wait. I have to go through that. Time Stories is awesome. Alright, and other stuff. We'll get through this and we'll get back to the questions. The new Snowtails. New edition from Renegade Games, which is a studio that broke off from Cryptozoic. I never played the original Snowtails. Like, not just the original Fragor Games version, but not even like the one that I think Mayfair or Mayday was doing. Mayfair, maybe. So I'm curious. You know, dog sledding is barbaric, but interesting. So there's that. Oh, this one's controversial. Mistfall, an cooperative adventure game that is supposed to be very Euro-like, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, but some people have given it very mixed reviews. There's a prominent reviewer I know who couldn't even make it through the rulebook, which is intimidating. I have looked at it. I ordered this one from one of the very few European companies who was actually letting people pre-order their games for shipping outside of Europe for Essen, and that is what's their name? Geek Attitude Games. They did something else. I can't remember what their other game was. Taverna. It's a I think it's a worker placement game about being in a bar, which I love the artwork. I really, really love the artwork in the game. I'm really eager to play it, and it came with is it worth getting it? No, it's not worth getting up. But it actually came with coasters, right? But the coasters aren't just like, hey, it says Taverna on them. They're actually like player aids. They're like a little extra. I thought that was funny. All right, here's the top 3 things I'm trying to get reviewed as quickly as possible. Champions of Midgard. I already played this game once, but it was a while ago. It was someone else's copy. I want to play it again. That first game, I got absolutely destroyed, and I still love the game. So, well, love is a strong word. I don't know if I love it yet, but I still liked it and really enjoyed it. So, we will see. I want to play it one more time and see if my opinion changes with a different group of people. This one, I'm going to keep my opinion of this secret. But I have played this several times since I got it earlier in the week, and I have made up my mind. All I have to do is film the review. So, but it's very, very popular. Blood Rage. And then, this just came in the mail today. A Study in Emerald 2nd edition. I am very, very excited for this. I did 2 reviews of the first Study in Emerald. If you watch them, they're kind of scatterbrained because I'm like, oh, it's such a brilliant game, but it's really complex and hard to get into. I really hope that this fixes some of the complexity issues. I know that it's not going to replace it, but hopefully they can sort of stand side by side and one of them can be a simpler version of the other. That'd be great. So that's it. That's some of the cool stuff you can expect to see. Some of them very, very soon. Some of them in the near future. I would say that everything I just showed you was in the top of the queue, so to speak, with some other things. off camera. Okay, so let's get back to it. There are several previews coming up too. Sadly, I'm kind of backed up on previews, and a lot. Again, people all are launching them all at the same time. It's kind of frustrating. All right, where would we leave off? Which game are you excited for more, Scythe or Seventh Continent? Scythe. Nick, have you heard of... But I'm still excited about Seventh Continent, though. Nick, have you heard of a game called Rise of the Kage? It's shit, so don't get it, I suppose is how you meant to say that. Rise of the Kage. Yes, I think I saw that on Kickstarter, right? It didn't really blow me away, but I'm glad to know. Thoughts on Crossmaster? I no longer own Crossmaster. I had the original set, plus the Frygos expansion, and a lot of extra stuff, and I just never got it played. I love the miniatures, but it's tough for me to play primarily two-player games, and I just didn't want to invest more into it. It seemed like the kind of game where it was like, okay, I'm going to have to get everything for it, and I don't want to have to get everything for it, so I better just bail now. Hey Nick, I've heard there is a large right-wing libertarian presence in board and wargaming, apart from the evangelicals. Has that been your experience? In my personal experience, like the gamers that I have up here in, I say up here, down here would be more appropriate to most of you that are watching, but in South Florida, in my part of South Florida, it's mostly been more liberal progressive people, but and other people that I've played with, and if you go on Board Game Geek, it seems like a really large swath of people are Christians or of some denomination, and I think that is for a reason. I don't think it's just like an unfair stereotype or anything like that. I think it's because for a very long time, because Christians have just in general, I'm not trying to stereotype, but a lot of Christians have problems with other forms of entertainment, like TV, movies, and things like that. I know this for a fact because I grew up around, in different parts of my family were different denominations of Christianity, and all of them had some sort of issue with something, whether it was like, you can't go see movies, you can't, whatever it might be, you can't play video games. And because of that, I think a lot of Christian families gravitate towards board games, and they grow up in that family life, and that carries over into modern board gaming as well. And I think that might be why there's a per capita higher ratio of them, right? And as far as in the right-wing libertarian part, well, a lot of times those things go hand in hand. Not necessarily, but it does a lot of the time. And if you go to the religion, sex, politics section of Board Game Geek, if you've never heard of that before, anytime someone says RSP on Board Game Geek, that's the religion, sex, politics forum. Anytime someone brings up one of those topics, the forum moderators will gently transfer the entire thread over to RSP if people start arguing about things that are not board game related. And if you go to that, I would not mind delving into that forum and just looking at what some of my fellow gamers think about these kind of topics, but it is dominated by conservative people posting threads. I don't mind that, but it's like a lot of people preaching to the choir, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of very informed, kind back and forth going on, which, to be fair, is not the point of RSP. So yes, I have noticed that. What anime would you love to see made into a board game? Also, what types of mechanisms would you hope it would implement? Well, that's a tough one. Someone asked me, would Full Metal Alchemist make a good board game? And a lot of these types of shows really wouldn't, because they don't feel like video games to me. They're like storytelling things. Like, how would you make a board game out of, like, Mushishi? That'd be, well, maybe make an episodic deduction game. That might be kind of neat, actually. Talking myself into that. But some of them do lend themselves to any kind of fighting thing. Like, wouldn't you love to see a version of, like, BattleCon or Yomi that had Dragon Ball or Hunter x Hunter? That would be awesome to me. Hunter x Hunter, especially for BattleCon, would be a fantastic expansion. Excuse me. But there's not a ton that really lend itself to that. That wouldn't just fall into, like, campaign-style cooperative adventure mode. Let's see. Nick, do you talk to your family back home often? Never. My family and I are pretty much estranged at this point. I am a lone wolf. Let's see. Can't remember your views on print and play, but assuming you don't totally ignore them, will you try the Seventh Continent sampler that was recently made available? Well, I hope you are aware that I did try the game and that I did a paid preview for it. You can see a paid preview of the game that is bereft of my final opinion on this channel. And that did use a print and play version of the game. I don't know about this sampler. I don't know if that's different than what I played, but I played a prototype version that took you through like the first sequence of the game. Someone said you've answered this already, but do you think you'll ever want to design a game? No. I have no interest in doing so. It's one of those things I'm never going to say never on, because who knows? And I certainly have had ideas, but most of my ideas for a game are just themes. I have zero interest in sitting there and crunching numbers and running thousands of play tests. And see, the problem is I know too much about games and what makes a good game and what I want to see in a game and the level of work and commitment I expect a game designer and publisher to put into a game, and I don't want that amount of work right now. And for certain aspects of my life, I am much more of a consumer than a producer. Obviously, I produce video content and written content and things like that, and that's fine. But as far as like what I enjoy doing and the content that I use, or what I use to fuel my content, I want to be a consumer, not a producer. Do you game with the Dice Tower crew often? Not often. Once a month, I would say. The Cool Stuff meetup is our reliable time for me to game with those people, and sometimes it's off and on because not every one of them shows up. Tom usually shows up, but he actually was not able to make it at last Saturday's monthly meetup because he was back from Essen already, but he had some sort of family obligations. Same thing with Sam. But Z was there, and I played one game with him that I did not enjoy. I did not enjoy the game, but it was fun to game with him and everyone else we were playing with. Jason was also there. Jason will always be there. So yeah, Jason I always game with. Z I usually am able to game with because he's also pretty reliable about showing up. And Tom and I will sometimes game. We will go to the same event, but because he and I are like two of the primary game providers, and because we teach a lot of games, it's better if the two of us split up and take people to us and start separate groups. It's more productive that way. So we will rarely, until like the end of the night, like we played the last game we played together was Shakespeare for the first time, which I got creamed, but I still had fun. When shall you do more live gaming? I don't know. It's touch and go. If I would do more live gaming, I would like to finally delve into the second End of the World RPG book. I've also got the OVA anime role-playing game I'd love to do, but I have to get a certain group of people together for those. Lords of Waterdeep is 6 only with the expansion. I apologize. I knew you could play it with 6. I couldn't remember if it was with the expansion or not. I think it's 5 with the base game. You don't want to do it with 6, to be honest. I was bored today and discovered that Star Realms is cheaper in retail compared to when you could back it. Any idea why? Aren't games supposed to be cheaper on Kickstarter? Not necessarily at all. Sometimes yes, but a lot of times no. Especially for these big box items with tons of miniatures. I think Blood Rage was $100 for the base game, and obviously you got a lot of extra stuff. But if you only wanted the base game, I think it's going to probably retail for $60 to $70 when it gets to retail. That's just the way it is for most times. A lot of companies will talk you into like, oh yeah, get it cheaper now before it gets to retail, but that might only be because there's some extra stuff added. But the main retail cost of the base game is usually less expensive if you shop at like Cool Stuff or Amazon. So that is actually one thing about Kickstarter that is not true. Cool Mini or Not games, forget it. Always get them at retail if you only care about price. Are you interested in the compounded board game? I saw it was on Amazon. No, I do not have an interest in that game for some reason. Sometimes I can just see a game, see its theme, see the box cover, and be like, I'm not interested. And I don't mean to bash that game. I don't want to bash any game that I haven't actually played. but it just has no appeal to me whatsoever. But never say never. That's what I always say. All right, I'm way far behind because... Boy, once you lose your place here, it's just really, really hard. Yeah, here we go. We're back. We're back. Nick, do you have an artistic side, i.e. drawing and digital stuff? No, I wish I did. When I was younger, I wanted to be a comic book artist, and it just never came together for me because I wasn't willing to sit there and practice, and I was so critical of myself. If my drawings looked terrible, I was just very defeatist. So I wish I did, though. I wish I could do my own artwork for the channel. Flick 'em Up or Catacombs? I have not played Catacombs yet. It seems like it would be a better game for me. One day I'll get to it. Have you played Vampire Radar? No, actually. I got a whole stack of games, which I think I showed off on last week's Q&A, from Japan Brand at Essen. I had Jason pick them up for me. But they were sold out of Vampire Radar because of Z's review. They've had very, very limited quantities of all of those, and you put a review on the Dice Tower, it gets attention. He loved it. It's sold out, unfortunately. But maybe I'll be able to play his copy at some point. Wow. F, Marry, Kill, Professor X, Sailor Moon, and Keanu Reeves. Well, oh, that's tough. That's a tough one. I think you wanna marry Professor X, right? The guy's reliable. I mean, he's a good dude. I mean, yeah, there's the whole mind reading thing, but I could get over that. If he chose to look inside my mind and stayed with me, he's golden. I think you wanna F Sailor Moon, right? I would think so. And you want to kill Keanu Reeves. Not to say Keanu Reeves is not a good dude, but you know, if that's my choice, if one of those three has got to die. But only if it's English dubbed Sailor Moon, I'd have to kill her. Nick, what's the deal with stores selling expansions but not the base games? Are people actually what? I don't understand. I don't understand the second part of your question. I don't understand the whole question, so I'm going to skip it. Since Eldritch Horror is so high on your list, how come you never mentioned its smaller brother, Elder Sign? Because I haven't played it. I actually have it. Yeah, actually, it's on the shelf behind me. You can barely see it. My camera's too out of focus, but it's underneath Sheriff of Nottingham back there. A lot of the stuff on this shelf I actually haven't gotten to yet. It's just happens to be lumped together with my keeping shelves. I haven't gotten to it. I'm very interested in it. I'm hoping... most cooperative dice games I don't like, actually, because they turn into like themeless slogs. But I've heard very good things about Elder Sign, especially with the expansion, and I think I actually have an expansion with that one. I think that's what I traded for, the first expansion. Let's see. Since you were talking about a possible party game top 10, what are your thoughts about the Jackbox games? I am not familiar with those. Sorry. Haven't heard of them. My department wants me to organize a board game day instead of our normal Christmas party. That's cool. They are all geeky but non-gamers. 11 of them. What are 3 games I should bring along? Party games for sure. Doesn't have to be all party games, but you want to start off with that. And you want to start off with some reliable, fun, light games that can definitely end the party well, but also pull people back in if you see they start to lose interest, right? So Cash and Guns works fantastically. You want to do something like maybe Spyfall. I mean, I don't want to pick just my favorites. I want to pick ones that are good for that. The Resistance could work really well, although that could lead to a lot of tension, but I still think it's worth it. But then as far as like meatier games, again, if they're non-gamers, you need to go with something a little bit lighter, but there are some really great gateway games. I'm not a huge fan of Settlers of Catan. but it does work very well for brand new non-gamers. It really does. Same thing with Ticket to Ride. I'm not a huge fan, but it is the perfect kind of game for that. People can easily pick it up and get into it, and it makes sense for them thematically. Takenoko, Tokaido are some of my favorite gateway games. What else? Lords of Waterdeep. Don't worry about the expansion for their first play. Just play with the base game. I think light card games. I mean, Love Letter, warm them up a little bit. That that kind of stuff. Hanabi, cooperative games, Pandemic. I mean, again, with non-gamers, it's easy. You have a ridiculous abundance of riches to choose from. There's so many great gateway games out there right now. Nick, do you do any sports or extracurriculars in school? You seem like a yearbook trumpet guy, or no clubs at all, just a loner. I didn't really do anything. I very briefly was on our school newspaper in high school, but that didn't last very long. I was slack. I was a big slacker when I got to high school. I was much more of I don't know how I would want to say this. I was much more into like making sure I had good grades up until the point I hit high school, and even that. But I was also in my little league team when I was really young. But getting hit full on with a fastball in the face did not really do well for me with that. Yeah, that didn't really do much. That was fine with me. I was more of a loner. Right now, as of October 24th, if someone asked you to play 3 games, what would they be? Okay, I will exclude games that I have to play for review. But to be fair, I really want to play the new Study in Emerald game. I am super pumped for that. But if I had to pick like existing games that I like that I'd want to play, I haven't played Seasons in a while. I'd really like to get that to the table again. I would love to play... what have I been fiending to play? I don't know. There's so many good games that I have. I want to play Arcadia Quest again really badly. It's been a while for that. I might not have played that since the 18-hour gaming marathon. No, I think I played it once at least after that. Cosmic Encounter, I haven't played that in a while too. Yeah. Those are some good ones. I haven't played. Those are some of my favorite games. I haven't played them as much as I should have. I know Cosmic Encounter's like, oh, you're copying Vassal. It's really a great game. It's just so good. Have you built any Gundam model kits? Yes, I did actually. The really easy ones. I mean, I think there are like really excessively detailed Gundam model kits that require glue and all that stuff. I built a lot of the Gundam Wing model kits that you just snap together. Gundam Wing is a show that doesn't really hold up very well, and it was just like boys. It was like a Gundam show for girls because with like cute boys and stuff, right? But the models, like the mechs that they had in that show, were awesome. Are you a fan of Kingdom Hearts at all? I am. I really enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, although I never bothered to delve into all the spin-off games, and I thought they got a little ridiculous with that. There's like Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 3 over 560 days or something. Seriously, it was some weird title. I thought they went kind of a little bit overboard, but the 2 base games were a lot of fun. Do you have a favorite party game? It's not something I hear you mention. I'll reserve that because I think I'll probably do a top 10 list of that. I think that'd be okay, right? I want to do ones that are going to be popular. Not every one of my top 10 lists hits. Some of them do, some of them don't. What are the top gaming scandals of the year? Example, lawsuits, Doom the King to Atlantic City, etc. Wasn't Doom the King to Atlantic City last year? The one that interested me this year was Kickstarter. A Kickstarter actually being held accountable. Which I think was the Doom the King to Atlantic City guy, right? That guy did finally get into trouble this year. That's right. That's probably what you're referring to. The Odin's Ravens thing was like a smaller version of that happening. As a reviewer, Nick, do you ever just get tired of certain mechanics? If so, which? Yeah, I'm sick of bidding. I don't know. I've never been big into bidding, especially blind bidding. It's terrible. If convention runners paid for your hotel, flight, food, would you come to their event as a guest of honor? Certainly. Someone actually offered that to me. I have to get back to them. I'm being pretty bad about responding to emails lately. I just don't know at the time. But yes, I would do it. I mean, it would have to fit into the schedule okay, but certainly, because I do want to get out there more. I want to meet more people in person. I want to go to more conventions. I want to just travel more. I don't take vacations. Going to Dice Tower Con this year was like the first, aside from just it being a gaming con, being my first con, it was the first time I've been on a vacation in maybe 3 years. I think the last time I went on vacation was like Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights of 2012. So, yeah, I would really like to go to more, and if people want to put me up, the only problem with that is I would be incredibly grateful. I would feel incredible trepidation about it because I'm like, well, okay, I'm here. What do I do? And I would feel very like nervous. Like if I hope that they get their money's worth. Like what do they want me to do? But I'm sure it would be fine. I would just say, I just want a game. Whoever wants to game with me, let's do it. Let's set it up. Whatever you want to do. What the hell is going on with the X-Men comics right now? It seems they have stopped making them. Uncanny X-Men, Wolverine, and X-Men, etc. Well, I don't know all the details on that. I don't stay completely up to date with comics, but I had heard the scuttlebutt was that Marvel was going to be at least temporarily phasing out any major comic book property that they did not have the movie rights for, except for Spider-Man. Spider-Man is just... They can't do that. Spider-Man is like the most popular comic book character in the world, except for maybe Batman. Not even Superman anymore, I don't think. Spider-Man is just like, he just sells anything that he's on. But X-Men and Fantastic Four, I think that they have been trying to put the kibosh on them. Believe it or not, that is actually the reason I believe that they are not reprinting the legendary Fantastic Four expansion. And that it's going for buku bucks now because it may never get reprinted. Marvel does not want to support those franchises and make them more popular. It's all in an effort to try and strong arm those other movie studios, Fox primarily, into giving the rights back up, which can't blame them. And I think even if I was a comic book fan, I'd be really pissed off. But as a moviegoer who loves the Marvel Cinematic Universe, yeah, do whatever it takes to get those franchises back into the fold. Because that'd be amazing. Speak Spanish? I do not. I'm sorry. I took Spanish, and I believe it or not, even though Spanish was like the one language in high school everyone took when they didn't really, because we were required to take a language and it was supposed to be the easiest one, I almost flunked out of it. I just had no interest in learning it. But then I took Latin, a dead language, which has no practical use whatsoever unless you really want to know the roots of your English words, but I did much better in it. I like the teacher a lot more. Teaching has everything to do with a kid's enjoyment of class. Do you think that people should be held accountable to their backers, especially when it overfunds and never delivers? Yeah. I think that Kickstarter and the law should be on the side of the backers. The backers should be the people with the power. I really do. I think it's like an investment, but they don't treat it like that. Like the backers should be considered shareholders, at least for the initial deployment of that game. Hey Nick, I recently returned from Taiwan, bought Animal Frightening Night there. Looks really cool. Thanks for the tip. Did you use the English rules on BGG? I did. They work fine. The rules are fine. Well, actually, let me say this. It's not that there's any problem with the rules, but the game itself is a very tough game to play for the first time. Maybe the second time. Get through 2 nights of the game and it will be fine. But it is a bear to teach the rules the first time because the nighttime sequence of everyone opening their eyes, closing their eyes, moving things around, everyone running away is such a pain to teach the first time. As well as you have to go over every single animal's, at least every animal that's in your game, go over every one of their powers, every one of their point scoring methods, and make sure everyone knows them. And that is a big pain in the butt. I mentioned that in my review. But if you can get past that, it's great. I really enjoy it. It's a very, very interesting take on the whole werewolf genre. What do you think of the War of the Ring Anniversary Edition? Do you think it's worth it? I can't really comment because I never played any of the War of the Rings versions. Doesn't particularly interest me, even though it looks cool. It's worth it with any of these things. I say it again and again. What is your income level? How much do you enjoy the game? Do you just like having Lord of the Rings stuff? Is it a collector's piece for you? It's worth whatever you're willing to pay for it. But I would say if you are, for anything like that, if you only interested in the gameplay, I always would just say go with the base game. That's cheaper. Nick, I know you're a cider guy. Have you ever tried the Still British cider? Strong stuff. I don't know if that's a particular brand, but I've tried Strongbow, which I know is a British cider. It's really good. I like it a lot. It's one of my favorites. Besides yourself, who's your biggest competitor on YouTube? Well, I don't know. I don't really want to. I regret ever even saying that. I feel like I'm the only person who says things like that, even though everyone else I know thinks it, including Tom by his own admission. But everyone else gets like offended when I say, "Oh, we're not supposed to be competing with each other. It's a community." Right. But I'll just leave that one go. I think if you were to line up all the big name reviewers, you'd see. It would be pretty obvious. Oh, so far behind. I'm so far behind and I have to end it soon, guys. I'm really sorry. Maybe I should stop showing games. It just takes up valuable question answering time. With BioShock, XCOM, and Assassin's Creed board games, why do you think there was no Fallout board game? That's an amazing question. Bethesda maybe just doesn't have an interest in doing that. And they're just like, well, our games are already these open world, massive campaign style games. Why would we make a board game out of it? Which I can understand. But imagine a Fallout game that was like either cooperative, like a cooperative adventure Fallout game, one that you could play solo. Oh, man, that'd be so cool. Or Skyrim, whatever. Elder Scrolls. Nick, what type of computer do you use and how old is it? I think my computer is about 2 years old at this point, and it's a Toshiba Satellite, and I've loved it. It's worked really well. It's got I specifically went for a computer that had a good processor, so I can't remember the name of it, but it had a very good processor at the time because I wanted to be able to upload and process videos faster, and it's worked very well for me. Have you had a chance to check out the Tragedy Looper expansion? I own it, haven't gotten to it yet. That game is a bear, and I don't know that it's even worth reviewing that, but I just bought it for myself. Midnight Circle is what it is. Tragedy Looper or Time Stories? I might have to go with Time Stories there. Tragedy Looper is eminently more playable, and, well, Tragedy Looper does also have, like, a set time you can play the games. Although I feel like with Tragedy Looper, you can play a scenario, and it's pretty easy for people to forget the scenario later on. So you could probably go through all the scripts, right? They're called scripts. You could probably go through all the scripts of the base game and the expansion, and then like wait a little bit, and then come back to it, and people would be like, "Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember what was what here." And there's more of a changing metagames to that slightly. You don't, with the Mastermind. Whereas Time Stories, legitimately, and I mean this sincerely, if you play the game once, it's done. There's no reason for you to play it again unless a lot of time has passed and you legitimately forget everything about it. But it has a shelf life. That's the way it's built. But I still think I enjoy the experience of Time Stories more. Have you heard of Sentinels of the Multiverse coming out with an Only Villains expansion? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I read up on that. I couldn't tell if it was you're playing as the villains or if it just had more villain teams the way that it did in Vengeance. I don't know what they're doing with that franchise. I think they should. I think this is supposed to be the last expansion. I'm okay with that. I'd say let it go at this point. Have you watched the 504 video by the Game Night, I suppose, gang? Comments? No, I don't watch the Game Night videos because usually they do live plays of games that I don't think are very interesting to do live plays of. But they're very nice people. But I don't have any interest in watching it. Have you seen the Super Dungeon Explorer Legends Kickstarter? Thoughts, and have you backed it? I have backed it because I'm not on their reviewer list. I think like that company is not really interested in doing reviewers because they don't really need to, I guess. But I have backed it. I think it looks great. There's a ton of content. I'm in for the whole shebang, although maybe I'll change my mind before the campaign's over and change my pledge. But I think it looks fantastic, and they're doing a good job with it. There's a ton of extra content and no exclusives, and I'm glad for that. I wish it was making more money than the Cthulhu Wars Kickstarter, but yeah, that's not going to happen. Hey Nick, apart from Force of Will, what was the last CCG you were heavily into? Oh, it's probably Magic. That's really the only one I was really heavily into. I tried to get my group when in high school to get into Rage and Wyvern. Wyvern, I should have known better. It looked like garbage, but I was like, dragons, it's dragons. Not really. But Rage was legitimately cool. No one wanted to play it. We always just gravitated back towards Magic. Nothing else stuck. And that kind of just maintained itself. Have you played Champions of Midgard? I've played it one time a while ago, someone else's copy. I enjoyed myself greatly, even though I was totally shellacked. I mean, like, dead last place. To be fair, I think I might have been the only one that had not played it before. So, and it's not like it's a very complex game. It's just like when you know what things need to be prioritized over other things, you do a lot better. So yes, I played it once. I know that I like it. I want to play it again to see if I love it. That's funny. I always see comments like I am in the very fortunate position of having a cool stuff relatively close to me. So when I order something, I don't have to worry about combining shipping. I'll just have it sent to the store and I can go pick it up whenever I want to. I could wait till I have my monthly meetup and go pick it up if I'm not in a hurry for it. If it's not like a new hot game. But even before I was a reviewer, I would just order games, have it sit down there, pick it up in a few weeks. But a lot of people who don't have that opportunity, who live out of state from where cool stuff is, well, they're only down here in Florida, will try to get the free shipping or at least combine shipping on a few different things at once and do these pre-orders. But unfortunately, one pre-order can hold up the entire order, and the games that are in stock might just be sitting there, and I feel your pain. So this guy is saying like his Roll for the Galaxy expansion is held up with the new edition of Fury of Dracula. But I don't think you have too long to wait for that. I think the new Fury of Dracula and the Warhammer Quest card game, both from Fantasy Flight, should be out within the next few weeks, I think. You'll be all right. If you're not a reviewer, don't worry about it. Huh. Nick, if you are even vaguely OCD, beware the stickers for the dice reference table on the player shields and Roll for the Galaxy Ambition. Too thin, too big, and don't align over original numbers. I'm not that OCD. I think I'm okay. I always screw up my stickers anyways, but I didn't even know there were stickers. That's going to be... oh, okay. I know why. Yeah. Do you embrace your role as the Tom Vassal who drinks? That's not alcohol, by the way. It's just a regular soda. I didn't even think to put alcohol in it. I'm going to go to bed after this, I think. I know. I have to end this, but I just feel bad that there's so many questions that I missed out on. Holy crap, how can I get the new Study in Emerald? You can pre-order it from Cool Stuff. and I'm not trying to plug cool stuff. Legitimately, that is the only place you can get it. I got a press release from them, and along with me being offered a review copy, which is how I got my current copy, which is here for anyone who missed it earlier. But I haven't played it yet, so don't ask my opinion of it. But they have signed an exclusive deal with Martin Wallace for like all of his games, I think. So Ships was exclusive. I have that too. Where is my copy of Ships? I haven't played it yet. Ships was exclusive. The original Study of Emerald, after its Kickstarter run, was exclusive to cool stuff, and this one will be as well, I'm pretty sure. So I'm not trying to plug cool stuff over my sponsor, Board Game Bliss, but legit, you gotta buy it there. And I think you can pre-order it now too, maybe. I don't know if pre-orders are open yet, so don't quote me on that. Oh, by the way, someone had I do remember one of the questions from before I lost them all. Someone asked, is there some controversy going on between you and Board Game Bliss? No? I don't know what led that person to ask that. I'm very curious, because if there is, I have no idea. But, someone also asked, Board Game Bliss related, do you think a retailer like Board Game Bliss will carry Kingdom Death eventually? I don't know. I have my doubts that game is actually going to retail, despite what Adam Poots says. But if there is going to be a store that would get it, I would actually suspect that Board Game Bliss would get it, because Board Game Bliss will just go out of their way to get a few copies of some very hard-to-get games, which is one of the things I like about them. Like, they actually had copies of Cave Evil that I wish I picked up before it went out of stock, because I can't get it any other way. Well, cheaply. I just watched your initial Myth review. Do you know if a second edition is around the corner, if there have been made enough changes to rules, etc., to justify a purchase? I had heard that there was going to be a Myth 2.0, but I don't know if that means the full game is going to get a 2.0 version or just the rules. Just the rules are what needed to be changed. The miniatures and components were fine. That was the best thing about that game, was the artwork and the appearance of it. I just thought the rules were garbage. Garbage. Oh my gosh. I hate area control. I disagree. I don't think I hate area control. Remember when Nightmare on Elm Street first came out? I remember going to see Ghostbusters. Okay, I might be... People are having a side conversation or asking each other questions. Does the big box of El Grande merit a buy if you already own the base game, or the expansion's any good? I haven't played anything El Grande. I'm actually very curious about that game and see if it's worth the hype, or if it's just kind of a, nostalgic thing for a lot of people. Do you think Small World and Lords of Waterdeep expansions are a must-buy for the core games? For Small World, no, actually. I think you can get a lot of fun out of the base game of Small World. And the Small World expansions are just like feeding more of the same stuff. They don't really like fix or improve the game or anything. So I think Small World on its own is good. Eventually you'll want to pick them up if you really enjoy the game, because you'll want more variety of races, but it's not a must buy, especially not right away. You can pick up Small World, make sure that you really, really love it, and then start getting them. You'll be fine. Lords of Waterdeep, tougher question. I don't want to tell people to run out and buy both the base game and expansion at the same time, because you may not like the base game. And then what are you going to do? Now you're stuck with the base game and an expansion and have to get rid of both of them. But the expansion does definitely make Lords of Waterdeep much better. But still, as usual, I would say it's not in danger of going out of print. So just make sure you like the base game first, then pick it up, because Lords of Waterdeep is still eminently playable without the expansion. It's just much better with it. All right, I'm going to find one more good question, then we're going to end it. I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm behind, but can't go on forever. It's already gone on way too long. Well, all right, maybe we'll answer a few. Is there a reason you don't speak to your family? Sorry if that was too personal. It's fine. You're totally free to ask, and I don't feel offended by anyone's questions. I'm not going to totally answer it, though, just because it's... things. That's all. Just things. Doesn't always work out. with all due respect, how close are you and Tom? One of my friends made some very controversial youth pastor comments, which I was very upset that they did that. That's one of the problems with having people on live. And my friends don't really give a crap about my relationships and friendships and what I've built up through the channel. I like Tom a lot. We don't see each other a lot. We don't hang out together a lot. So I don't know if we're like friends, but we definitely have a healthy respect for each other. I love the guy. I love what he's done for the community. I love what he's done with his channel. He's my inspiration for the channel. So I don't ever mean to offend him or anything, but I can't really control what my friends say. All right, well, I'll end on a downer. Someone's got to have a decent question. I'm sorry, that wasn't not a decent question, but I don't want to end on a downer. How many siblings do you have, and are you estranged with them as well? I never had any siblings. I had a half-brother and a half-sister who I never met from my father's previous marriage. And I actually met my half-sister online, like on AOL, like in 98 or 99. She was very nice, so I can't really be estranged from them though, because they weren't like first siblings. Let's see. I'm skipping down quite a bit. Sorry. Let's just pick one more question. I'm randomly looking a boot. Oh, okay, I see a random comment. Study and Emerald, already out of stock? If it's a pre-order, it doesn't necessarily mean it's legitimately out of stock. They do that sometimes. It's just like, I don't know. Don't be so sure about that. Just put a notification on. Sometimes games that are not released yet, they're just not letting people pre-order quite yet. It's not that creepy that I guess that Warhammer Quest was your other game you had on pre-order. They're both coming out from Fantasy Flight Games in the same time period. And everybody wants them, including me. Some people have nothing better to do than correct my grammar because I'm sure they are perfect and never, ever make grammatical mistakes or mispronounce words, ever. Absolutely not. No, they just don't have a channel where people can pick over everything that they say. Have you ever played Cardfight Vanguard, Nick, or heard of it? I've heard of it, and the really cool-looking anime-style artwork has attracted me to it. And it's actually, if I am not mistaken, I believe that it, like several Japanese CCGs, was at least partially developed by Mike Elliott. I bet you didn't know that. And I think that he did have a big hand in the development of that game. Perhaps not currently, but I think he developed the original version of that. I've heard good things about it. I just don't want to delve into another CCG. I think Force of Will is enough for me right now. But it seems cool. I've heard it's just a very simple game. Kind of like a step above Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is very simple. Although Yu-Gi-Oh! Has like walls of text. I don't know how kids can read it without getting eye vision problems. Let's see. One last one. I want to end on a positive note. Sorry, this is probably terrible to watch. I have so many questions. Okay, perfect. This is perfect. Are you donating anything to the Jack Vassal Fund? I am indeed. Generation X is referring to the Jack Vassal Memorial Fund auction. You can go over to Board Game Geek right now. On their front page in one of the modules, they have a link to a thread that will link you to the Geek List auction. Or you can go on my Facebook page. My Facebook page, I posted about it yesterday or the day before. And it's if you're not familiar with it, the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund was started in honor of Tom's deceased son, Jack. Tom Vassell's deceased son, Jack. And it is, basically what happened was a lot of gamers got together and came and started an auction for him to help him in his hour of need, because Tom and his family were struggling to pay for the medical bills for his son. And he was so touched by that after Jack passed away that he started this charity in his honor. And he is the president of that charity, but it's completely separate from the Dice Tower. The sole purpose of the charity is to get money together to help gamers who have suffered catastrophic events, whether it is an illness they can't pay for, whether there's an accident, a death, like the primary caregiver of the family died and the family has been left with no money, whatever it might be. It's designed to help gamers who petition the council of elders of the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund, and there are some stories you can read about of like people that they have helped, which is really cool. So I want to take part in that. I've took part in it the last 2 years, putting up items. What I put up the last couple of years is a paid preview for your game or gaming related service. No charge from me. It's me waiving my fee, and any money that I gain from that anything that's on that Geek List auction goes directly to the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund. So go there, dig deep. I really enjoy doing it, and there's a ton of cool stuff on that list. I mean, like, there's some rare items, signed games, little bits and neat things, and the chance to like meet other podcasters and stuff in person, like including Tom. They go for really big money, so you have to have deep pockets, but I think a lot of that stuff is really worth it. And it's a chance for you to get maybe some rare games, some out-of-print games. A lot of companies like Fantasy Flight Games put up a lot of stuff like playmats. They did playmats for Eldritch Horror. Fantasy Flight Games rep is put up playmats for Eldritch Horror, Forbidden Stars. Eldritch Horror got too expensive for me. I wanted it, but it's already up past $100. Or it's at $100. I'm like, it's too much. I can't pay that much for it. But I am currently winning the Forbidden Stars playmat auction. We'll see how long that lasts. It's probably not going to last, but there's a ton of cool stuff. So do check it out and dig deep. I think it's a very cool, good cause, and I really like taking part in it. So, all right. I'm going to end it here. I am very tired, and I've been going on for an hour and a half. Sorry for everyone's questions I missed in the beginning. I don't know what happened there. It's very, very weird. I wonder if that's a thing from now on where I shouldn't like open the browser until I'm ready to answer questions because it'll devour the first few. But thank you so much for watching and staying up late with me. Really enjoy Q&As. One of my favorite things. And we will do it again next week at some point during next weekend between Friday and Sunday, probably at an earlier hour. So thank you so much for watching, all y'all. Have a fantastic weekend, and check out the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund auction, please. Take care.